Okay, world history students. Today, this presentation is going to just be brief. It's going to be about 2 slides, and this is the only slide with text. And then we're going to direct you onward to a collection of film clip, an extension of that documentary we started to see at the end of class last Tuesday. The topic we're going to introduce here is the Columbian Exchange. I sort of alluded to this at the end of Tuesday's presentation. The Columbian Exchange can best be defined as what I have here. It's the exchange of plants, animals, people, and diseases between the Americas and Afro-Eurasia. After Europeans arrive in the Americas in the late 1400s, early 1500s, this sets off a series of exchanges of those things, everything from plants, animals, people, diseases, and it has profound consequences. And they call it, historians that is, call it the Columbian Exchange because it's set in motion by Columbus's arrival in the Caribbean. Now, this has a diverse range of impacts, as you know. But let me highlight some of the big ones, and then you're going to see some more specifics in the clip that we look at. One big impact of the Columbian Exchange is that up to 90% of the Native American population of 1492 is wiped out from disease. This doesn't happen all at once, but within a century and a half, maybe 2 centuries, it's estimated that up to 90% perishes from diseases brought by Europeans. Some of these include smallpox, influenza, and others. It's also going to result in many European plants thriving in the Americas, and we're going to see some examples of what these Columbian Exchange plants are. But for instance, sugar and rice are not native to the Americas, but those, for instance, are going to really succeed and take off and become extraordinarily profitable in the Caribbean and elsewhere in South and Central America. On the flip side, you're going to get calorie-rich foods coming out of the Americas and going back to Europe. Corn, potatoes, for instance, are going to dramatically transform the calorie potential of Europeans and lead to a surge in the European population within several centuries. And this is, of course, complicated by many other factors. You have the movement of domesticated livestock of Europeans and Africa and Asia into the Americas. You also have the movement of people. The transatlantic slave trade that we talked about in the Africa unit is set in motion as Europeans set about trying to farm and develop cash products for profit, and they need labor first in the Caribbean but then elsewhere in the Americas. Remember, this is the map that I closed a large group with last week. These are the settlement patterns of various European groups. You have the Spanish in green, you have the British in red, you have the French in yellow, and as well as the Portuguese that take a large chunk out of Brazil. And these are the patterns that really take root between the 1400s and the 1600s. And if you take a look at these are some of the highlights of plants, animals, and foods in general that exchange. The stuff that goes from Europe, Africa, and Asia to the Americas, these include things like coffee and bananas and, of course, sugar. Those are going to be very profitable as well for later peoples. Stuff that comes from the Americas back to Europe, Africa, and Asia by extension. Corn, a variety of beans, potatoes, those are going to be the big caloric ones, but also products like pumpkins and squash and various types of peppers and tomatoes and even turkeys. The key thing that Europeans and Africans and Asia have in common is they have domesticated livestock. Cattle, sheep, pigs, horses, those are all going to go to the Americas and have a profound impact. Here is what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to continue watching this documentary clip, and I've edited out sections that I want you to watch going forward. And I'd like you to answer these 2 questions. I've set aside about 20 minutes of the documentary, a little bit more, and you'll be able to answer these questions. The first one is, how does the arrival of the horse to the Americas have an impact? Explain and list as many ways it has an impact as you can. Secondly, what are the 2 biggest consequences of the Columbian Exchange? Explain why you chose these 2. So it's your decision here. You justify your position of which of these consequences, and there are numerous ones listed here. I'd like you to write these down in your notebook. These are resources for the weekly quiz. Make sure you write it down. It's going to be a valuable resource on the quiz. It's going to be a valuable resource on a future test. All right, and with that, we conclude this introductory screencast.